Hello, I'm Nick Park from Evangelical Alliance Ireland, and this is our weekly message. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. Last week we had our general election here in Ireland, and we now have a good idea of what the makeup of the government, the coalition government, will be that will govern us for the next few years. Also, in recent days, there was a major vote took place in the UK Parliament to do with assisted suicide. And very sadly, they voted to pave the way for the introduction of legislation that would make it legal for assisted suicide to be allowed in the United Kingdom. Now, of course, here in Ireland, there was a similar push to try and bring similar legislation about. And that was basically, it was kicked down the road. Instead of trying to bring that kind of legislation in, it was delayed certainly until after the election, and who knows how long after that. At Evangelical Alliance Ireland, we believe strongly in the value of life. Our God is a God of life. We believe life is one of the most wonderful gifts that God has given. And therefore we are fully committed to protecting life. And that means, for example, that we're pro-life when it comes to the life of the unborn child. That means that we're pro-life when it comes to caring for immigrants and refugees and treating them in a compassionate way, because their lives are every bit as valuable as Irish lives. And it also affects how we look at the issue of those who are elderly, those who are terminally ill, those who are approaching the end of their lives. That a human life is infinitely important, whether it's right at the beginning with an unborn child, or whether it's right at the end with somebody that is terminally ill. And so at Evangelical Alliance, we have put together a statement that expresses our position on the whole issue of assisted suicide. Now, we would say this, that it is our prayer that this will not come back onto the legislative programme here in Ireland. I prayed publicly before the election. I prayed that there would be pleasant surprises for us in some of the results of the election. And for me, one of those was that the particular TD, the Member of Parliament who was trying to push through the assisted suicide legislation, he actually lost his seat in the election, so he will not be part of the Dáil at all moving forward. However, here is Evangelical Alliance Ireland's statement on assisted dying. It says the Oireachtas Joint Committee on Assisted Dying produced a report recommending legislation that will, under certain circumstances, permit assisted suicide for patients suffering from terminal illness. Evangelical Alliance Ireland, like most other religious organisations, values human life as something that is intrinsically precious, and believe that a civilised society must prioritise the preservation of life and strive to improve quality of life. We believe that when a society diminishes the value of life or infers that some lives are not worth living, then that is detrimental to the greater good. Evangelical pastors and ministers, like other faith leaders, work extensively among those who are suffering. We are there to console the dying and comfort the bereaved. We're also there to pick up the pieces when families are left devastated by the suicide of a loved one. So although we are not trying to force our religious faith on others, our views are relevant due to our close involvement with those who will be the most affected by any changes in this area. We recognise that some who suffer from a terminal illness feel a profound loss of hope and dignity. This is also traumatic for families and loved ones. However, we are extremely concerned that Ireland's suicide problem will only be compounding by legitimising suicide in certain circumstances. We recognise that such legislation would initially be limited to strict conditions, but it would be foolish to pretend that it would not be followed shortly by demands to expand the circumstances under which assisted dying may be carried out. We note that the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, the College of Psychiatrists of Ireland, the Association for Palliative Medicine and the Irish Society of Physicians in Geriatric Medicine have all expressed similar concerns about the proposed legislation. The same is true of the Catholic Church, the Church of Ireland, the Presbyterian Church, the Methodist Church and the Islamic faith. EAI joins them in asking that the Oireachtas would listen to those of us who work most closely with those in our society who are affected by suicide and terminal illness, and consult more widely with all these expert bodies before proceeding with any legislation. So basically what we're saying is that life is precious, that life is to be preserved, and that those of us who spend our time working with people at the end of their lives and work with those who are left devastated when loved ones are gone, our views need to be listened to. The views of medical professionals need to be listened to. The views of faith leaders of so many different faiths should be listened to. So it is our prayer that our government, our new government, will indeed recognise that there is not an appetite in Ireland to produce the legislative change that the UK has taken. And it is our prayer that there will not be an attempt to force a measure that would basically erode all the hard work that's been done to combat the suicide epidemic, which would devalue human life and deny that it is indeed the special gift from God that we believe it to be. So please do pray for our legislators. Pray that this will be a situation that will not come back on the table in the lifetime of the next government or even beyond that. And pray for those who are dealing with really traumatic situations with terminal illness, and may the church continue to be the shining light and reach out as has already been happening, along with so many other good professionals and carers here in this land. We are hopeful that this will not be a step that Ireland will take. We don't have to follow the steps that every other nation takes. We can be different. We can be more compassionate. We can value life more. And I'm believing for better things for Ireland, because it might be Friday, but Sunday's coming.